What's up, world? It's your boy Dane Diesil in the building, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Droppin Game with my man, co-host, the one and only Coach Tony Brace. Let him know what's happening, Coach.
What's good? What's good? Dane, what's good? Internet world, what's good? Entrepreneurs, what is good? Go getters.
Yeah, baby. And we are here to talk to you today about this good game that we have to share. The topic of today's episode is the science of getting mind rich. So we're going to basically be talking about three of the main things that you can be doing right now, starting today, the minute you finish watching the show, to get your mind wealthy, because that factors in to ultimately what it takes for you to become the person you need to become to accomplish the major goals that you have set out to accomplish for yourself, whether that's to start a business, whether that's to start a nonprofit, or whether that's simply to be a great parent, a great brother, a great sister, an excellent aunt, an excellent uncle. It's going to take a sense of mind richness, a wealthy mind, as they say, in order for you to be able to be the type of person that you're going to need to be to create the human success machine that you want to create in your life. So before we hop into the meat and potatoes of today's show, I just had a couple of housekeeping things that I want to share with you. So first and foremost, I'm going to let Coach recap the business quadrant and what we kind of talked about for the previous episodes.
Yeah, absolutely, Dane. So we've capped this as, gosh, what, week 3 now that we're in the Droppin Game universe, that we created this show to create some content for the up-and-coming entrepreneurs, what we like to call the hood ambitionists. And the first, 4 things that you got to look at when you're growing a business is your lead generation, your sales conversion rate, and how can you get your customers coming back. We call that purchase frequency per quarter, business quarter that is, or per year. And then we're also looking at the average dollar sale. And when you multiply those things, you get a real compound effect. Imagine that you had 100 leads in your first quarter of business, and then your conversion rate was 20. That would give you 20 new customers. And then you were able to create a lot of value and get them coming back, so you would have repeat customers. So let's imagine, for this case study, that you had 2 repeat customers and that your average purchase sale was $100. Well, if you take 100 times 20, the conversion rate, again, that's 2 new customers. They purchase from you twice a month at an average dollar purchase of $100. You're looking at total revenue in 1 month of $4,000 with that example, if you were to do the math quickly. Now let's just focus on a 10% increase in each quadrant. Okay, so imagine we're in quarter number 2 now. We got 100 leads the first time. We only wanted to focus on a 10% increase. So now we've just bumped it up to 110 leads. We went from 100 to 110. Now we got to focus on the sales rate, sales conversion rate. Again, that comes down to sales ability. Do you have a process? Do you have the right people in place? That sort of thing. But the bottom line is, we were looking to improve that needle by 10% total, which increased your sales conversion rate from 20% to 24%. That was a 4% increase when you do the math at 10% total. This is left brain, simple math. You don't have to be a CPA to figure this out. Okay, now you went from having 20 customers, new customers that is, in Q1, and now we're imagining this is Q2. You've increased your conversion rate. Now you have 24 new customers. You're probably thinking, no big deal, Coach. I've only increased by 4 customers. But you have to understand the magic of this compound effect. So, nevertheless, now let's look at the third quadrant, which is what? Purchase frequency, right? We've increased the purchase frequency from 2, increased it by 10%, so we went to 2.2, okay? The average dollar price was $100, okay? They were buying twice a month at $100. Now we've increased it only 10%. We upsold them. We've added some more product lines, more T-shirts, more hats. Can you see this? Can you see what this says?
Dream big, baby.
Dreaming big. Okay.
Dream big, man.
Nevertheless, you've increased it from $100 to $110. When you multiply all that with just a 10% increase in each quadrant, you've increased your revenue by 45%. So you went from $4,000 to $5,808. And that is the magic of the business quadrant.
Right, spot on, Coach. So for all you interested in growing your business, which is a component of why we do this show, to help you grow your business, it basically boils down to the business quadrant. Are you going through those systematic steps? Are you strategically applying those steps to your business so that you can know what your numbers are and manipulate those numbers so you can grow the business? So with that being said, if you have any questions for Coach about how you can, well, just anything that applies to the business quadrant in and of itself, feel free to email him. Where can they email you at, Coach?
They can email me at coachtonybrace@gmail.com. That's the one that I interact. I got about 10 email addresses, but that's the one they can email me at. Or they can simply call. You know, I love to communicate live over the phone. Call me. It's all on me. It's a toll-free call. 888-775-9914. Let me repeat that. My toll-free telephone number is 888-775-9914. And again, this is for already people that are already in business, for you to understand the principles of the business quadrant. If you're in a situation where you don't have no clue what you're doing, you may not want to give me a call. You may not be ready. Get on YouTube, watch some videos, or just, you know, email me or some of that sort, because we're talking about real business, real results. So I just want to be very clear on that. Coach Tony Brace loves to help people and add value, but you really got to be about your business, and you got to have that mind-rich mentality, because we are dreaming, B-I-G.
There it is, world. So if you do find yourself in that first batch of people that Coach described, i.e. those who are still trying to figure out where you're trying to go, you know that you need to make a move, but you're completely clueless about how to make that happen, feel free to email or contact me. You know, I'd love to help you do three things. Those three main things being, first and foremost, helping you clarify your vision. Secondly, helping you overcome your challenges. And third, helping you accomplish your goals so that eventually you can be on the phone with Coach Tony Brace. So you can reach me at billionairebelief@gmail.com. You know, I like to phone call as well, so you can reach me on you can hit my jack 310-863-0844.
But the
Once
cool
again,
thing is we got them covered at all levels, and that's what this show is all about. Dropping game, no man left behind. You know, I don't mean to come across like I'm bigger than everybody, but you know, I really do this every day, in and out. This is how I take care of my family, and I have clients that I have to, you know, make things happen for. So get with me if you're all about serious business. But other than that, man, let's drop some game on it.
Let's drop some game. So I'll get you that number if you missed it later on in the show. But nevertheless, let's hop right in. So today's topic, as I said before, we're going to be talking about the science of getting mind rich, because the mind is the human thinking machine. It's your human success machine at the end of the day. It's responsible for creating the beliefs that you choose to accept as true and real in real life that ultimately lead you to feel a certain way and take a certain action. So we want to talk to you about how to get this straight, as they say, you know, get your mind right. And there's three main things that you need to be doing. The first thing you need to be doing, obviously, you need to be what? What does it say here? Believing in your ability to learn and figure things out. Then you need, the second thing you need to do, you need to seek knowledge. And the third thing you need to do is soar with the winners. And SOAR is an acronym for serve, others, and receive. But we'll get a little bit into that once we get to that point. So first and foremost, Coach, let's talk about, you know, people, the essence of someone believing in their ability to learn and figure things out. How important is that in becoming mind rich?
Man, it's very important. You know, for those that don't know, again, I'm going to plug myself. That's what we do. I'm a master salesman. So go to soundcloud.com/Coach Tony Brace and download my free personal development hip hop success mixtape, Mind Rich, I Trap Knowledge Volume 1 is some good content. But some of the pillars for me in becoming mind rich and having that thirst for knowledge, it really comes down to your desire. And I have a track on I Trap Knowledge called Desire. You know, desire for me is when I'm dreaming and I can see that vision. And a lot of times it's when I'm looking at the ocean and the beach, or, you know, when I'm having some intimate time to myself and I just getting out the shower and I'm shaving, that sort of thing. And, you know, I'm thinking about the vision, I'm thinking about my day. It's all about desire. If you don't have that desire and or hunger, it's really going to be hard to get mind rich because you won't have those reasons and those motivations to want to learn and more importantly, apply what you learn.
Mm-hmm. So exactly as you said, being willing to apply those things that you learn, but most importantly, having the desire to even want to learn those things. But that desire is going to ultimately come from you believing in your ability to learn and figure things out. Because I've noticed, Coach, over my journey so far in life, and I just to let everybody know, I just celebrated my 30th birthday, so it's a pleasure to be in the 30 club. But
Blessings,
having
bro.
now been on this earth for 30 years, I've had the fortunate opportunity to make an observation, and in my life, I've observed that, when it comes to people getting mind rich, they fail to subscribe to the first component, which is believing in their ability to learn and figure things out. And to me, I believe that ultimately boils down to their lack of desire, as Coach talked about. They really don't dream, or they really don't believe that they are in a position to change their situation, so they don't desire the things that they really want in their life. And if they're not desiring these things, then obviously they're not putting themselves in a position to learn new things. So it's very important, as you said, Coach, to have that sense of desire. For example, a guy like a Michael Jordan, we'll use him. That's a pretty popular name. His desire to want to be the greatest. But like you said, I believe that desire to want to become the greatest ultimately came from him believing in his ability to learn and figure things out. Especially when you know what his story is, as far as him getting cut from his high school varsity team the first time he tried out, but then telling himself like, "No, I'm gonna be the greatest player in the world." Now, I imagine what his parents thought when he came back home and told them he was going to be a professional athlete, like that was going to be his career. But on some level, MJ believed in his ability to learn and figure things out. Because I'm willing to guarantee and go on a limb, Coach, that he in that conversation he had with himself, he reaffirmed within himself, like, hey, Michael Jordan, you know what I'm saying? You could learn this game, or you've been learning this so far, and you could figure out what you need to figure out to get to that next level, so that you can always have that edge. But
Yeah.
like you said, Coach, it came from desire. The desire to want to be the best, the desire to want to be the greatest.
Oh yeah, man. You gotta be hungry. You gotta want it. You gotta be determined. And it takes confidence, man. For me, I probably just came out the womb kind of confident. I've always been an observant person, a quiet person, kind of low key. But I've always still had that inner drive or that inner hunger, if you will. And that is so critical for chasing after what I call 10-year goals. Because I truly believe that all human beings should have a 10-year goal. And then you break it down year by year, quarter by quarter, month by month, week by week, day by day.
There it is, everybody. He just gave you one of the formulas to success. So there it is. You gotta be able to break those goals down. Now, we talked about, Coach. Obviously, the first more so element, the first pillar, uh, of people becoming mind rich, the science of getting mind rich, I should say, believe in your ability to learn and figure things out, which spills over into the next component or the next leg, which is seeking knowledge. So we kind of briefly touched on this a little bit, but can you just talk to them about the importance of seeking knowledge, but not just any kind of knowledge? I'm talking top of the game knowledge, as I like to call it, learning from those who have accomplished what you are aspiring to accomplish yourself.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is I once heard, don't reinvent the wheel. So surround yourself with the people that are already successful. And again, this doesn't have to be millionaires because I'm in the process of being a millionaire. But I do okay. Nevertheless, is you have to get around people that have the knowledge, okay? And that is the know-how in terms of information to get a result that you desire, okay? And or if you want to be an entrepreneur or a business owner or even be, work for a company, a corporation, you have to have a skill. You get paid for the skills and the values that you bring to the marketplace. So in order to have a skill, it requires you learning something. It requires knowledge, and it requires that you practice. Let's use the Michael Jordan example. Okay, you look at Michael Jordan's rookie year, and then look at Michael Jordan when he won his second championship. The skill sets are totally different. Okay, he added different skill sets to his toolbox, and that took him the ability to learn from advisors, from coaches, from studying film, conditioning coaches, so on and so forth. And he was able to build up that skill set. So that's how I look at desire. Excuse me, that's how we were talking about desire earlier. That's how I look at knowledge. There's plenty of ways to consume knowledge. You can go through the standard process of going to get an undergrad, a master's degree at a university, and I'm pro for that if you have a plan on how you're going to get a return on your investment. Or you can get knowledge from books, seminars, workshops, coaches, mentors, or you can get knowledge from corporations. In my early 20s, I learned a lot of things from working with major corporations such as HSBC Financing. That was one of the best experiences for me because they had a learning and development campus at their facility that was amazing, that you would think that was a mini college, if you will. So they can train and keep educated their labor pool on a variety of things that was that was required to keep the initiatives and the goals of the company going as they looked 50 years into the future. So that's what companies do. They plan strategically at that level 50 years in advance, and without knowledge, none of this stuff will manifest.
And, you know, Coach, you brought up two interesting points that I actually made note of. The first being people being consciously aware of the investment in knowledge that they're making and having a plan to get it back. But also, too, the importance of being able to identify people who are a few steps ahead of you and learning from yourself. I mean, learning from them, because I'm pretty sure that, you know, people have a lot of noise coming at them from all different angles, and it can get very loud and noisy at times for them to kind of like focus without feeling overwhelmed as to who do I listen to. And
Yeah.
but you made a good point in that you said, you know, while I'm not a millionaire yet, you know, at the end of the day, I'm still a couple of steps ahead of you. So you know, I'm somebody who you can learn from, and
Oh
I
yeah,
believe that.
I'm a consistent six-figure guy for over a decade. So if you haven't done that for over a decade, holla at your people.
So there it is, folks, a six-figure earner for you. And but to piggyback on that, you know what I'm saying, like you said, you've had an opportunity to experience some things. So whether you've been spending a decade making six figures, a decade making websites, a decade, you know, recording videos, or teaching in an academic environment, you have ultimately become an expert on that topic at the end of the day. And I
Yeah.
believe a lot of people kind of undervalue their value, their knowledge. They discount themselves because in their mind they're thinking, well, you know, I haven't made $1 million, or, you know, I haven't, you know, spoke in front of a crowd of 100,000, so I'm not, what I have to say, my message is not worth anything. It's worthless in a sense. But as you just said, Coach, you know what I'm saying, if somebody wants to earn six figures, they can talk to you. If somebody wants to learn how to build a website, for example, they could talk to me, or do pretty much anything in creative services, you could talk to me. I'm not a millionaire yet either, but I'm definitely on my way, just as Coach is. So, you know, I believe a lot of people at times, Coach, they kind of get lost into this, as I like to call it, the fugazi, where, you know, if you don't have the Armani suit on and you're driving the Benz, they just kind of like push you to the side. They don't even pay you no attention, not even realizing that, you know, sometimes, you know, those are your biggest swindlers. And the guy who was genuinely trying to
Let me
help
tell
you.
you why. My experience, they fall for something that I call the illusion of value. See, people don't know
Okay.
how to filter through what is real value from fictitious value, right?
Okay.
Just
Can you
like,
speak on that?
huh?
Can you speak on that?
Yeah, what do you want me to speak on specifically?
No, the illusion of value.
Just the illusion of value. Let's look at some of these high-end brands. Okay, this is no knock on them. I'm a businessman. I understand it. But let's just take, for example, Louis Vuitton. Okay, if you was to look at the base cost to manufacture their product versus what they're selling it for, they're killing with their margins because there's an illusion and perceived value that is worth more than another handbag. They make you believe that through whatever communications, through whatever events and parties that they throw, through whatever people that are endorsing their products or service. That's the illusion of value versus oxygen that me and you are breathing right now. That's real value. It don't get no simpler than that.
There it is. And so it's very important, as you just said, ladies and gentlemen, you got to understand the illusion of value. You got to understand when someone is really bringing you something of useful value or just the perception or the fantasy that they're creating in your mind and maximize your imagination and to make you, like you said, go from spending what maybe be, well, Mike, for example, I have a great example for him, Coach. I just saw this today, actually. The base cost for, like I said, a pair of Nikes, for example. Base cost for a pair of Nikes could be anywhere between $3 to $10, like
Yes.
out the door. But by the time they make it to a Foot Action or a Foot Locker near you, they got that book. I mean, they got that big $100 to $250 price tag on it.
Right.
So that's
So,
that illusion of value you're
we're
talking
talking about the quadrant, right?
about.
There's a component in the 4-box quadrant that is not included, and that's for the premium members, which is margins. That's understanding financials. That's at a deeper level. When you're looking at, your product margins for every product line that you have and looking at KPIs and all the things that go with running a business, which are the numbers. So that's box number 5. But nevertheless, man, back to the illusion of illusion of value. You gave the Nike illustration, which is great. I gave the purse illustration, but there's still gigantic spreads or margins, and people still buy into it because they believe that there is some value in it. And that's what the illusion of value versus knowledge. Knowledge cannot be stolen. What you know about creating websites and all the technology tips on the back end scene that entrepreneurs like us, I mean, we're all entrepreneurs, but what I do, I need guys like you so that I know that there's value, and you've studied up on what you know, and you can market yourself and charge for your services and your products, and that's real value in my opinion. It's real tangible. It's forever.
And that it is, Coach. So, but that took me having a willingness to learn this stuff. I started
Yeah.
off just like the average quote unquote guy out there when I first got into creative services. Or I will say this, my how I ended up learning how to do all this stuff, originally started from my desire to fire my boss and start a business based around something I love to do. And most importantly, that as I've come to learn, that major love is really, seeing people winning and experiencing that feeling of winning. And that's one of the things that I really, really love to do. So I didn't know how to set up websites, though. I didn't know how to set up mailing lists. I didn't know how to create videos. I didn't know how to shoot photos. I didn't know how to do any of that stuff. But, going back to what it takes to be mind rich, I definitely did believe in my ability to learn and figure things out. And I definitely did seek knowledge. And I definitely did to kind of like bring in the last component, which is soaring with the winners. Obviously, I did not just seek any kind of knowledge. I went and identified the top of the game players. So, for example, if I wanted to become a great basketball player, I'm not going to study or I'm not going to seek knowledge in a sense from the guy who spent his whole NBA career riding the bench, or I'm not going to seek knowledge in a sense specifically. I would say from the guy who won Sixth Man of the Year. If my ambition is to be a franchise player, I'm going to always, I'm going to be seeking knowledge from the likes of the Kobe Bryants, the Dr. J's, those all stars, those superstars, the LeBron James. Like those are the guys that I'm going to be, aspiring and seeking knowledge from, and surrounding myself with men and women of that caliber, because I understand that consciousness is contagious. So if I aspire to be that athlete who is a superstar at what they do, then I have to be around that consciousness, and I'm not going to get that consciousness hanging around the guy who rides the bench all season, or even the guy who wins Sixth Man of the Year. You know what I mean? I have to be around the guys who are winning the MVPs. I have to be around the guys who are winning the Finals MVPs. I have to be around the guys who are winning the NBA championships. Period. Those are the guys that I'm listening to. I have to be around the Phil Jacksons. I have to be around the Carl, any and every coach who's won a championship. Those are the kind of guys I'm gonna be. I'm reading all their books. I'm attending all their seminars. I'm subscribing to all they membership programs. Why? Because they're the best at what they do, and I want to be the best at what I do. So I need to learn from the best in order to be the best.
Excellent point, man. Excellent point. And all that it boils down to a principle of controlling your environment. Can you share with the viewers my principle on my mixtape, I Trap Knowledge? Again, what you got out of that, controlling your environment? Because if you don't decide to put yourself in those environments with the greats, hanging out, what do they hang out? What do they do? How do they talk? You know, you have to be unique and be yourself and create your own identity. Essentially, when in Rome, do what the Romans are doing, obviously with integrity.
Oh, no doubt. Like you said, what I got from that bit from my trap knowledge, specifically controlling your environment, I believe that's where you were talking about, the importance of being the leader of your group, but not allowing the streets to take to take control of you, but more so just being someone who's always on high alert. You know what I'm saying? Being observant. Being consciously aware of where you're at. What's in your environment, who's in your environment, so that you can always, as you said, be on high alert. To be able to take advantage of opportunities, to identify threats, so that you can
Yes.
make the type of moves that you need to make. And unfortunately, through my observations in life, to this date, that's one of the things that I feel people kind of like allow themselves to be real dull on, staying high alert, for opportunities and for threats, and unfortunately they miss all the opportunities and
Yes.
get taken advantage of through all the threats that they failed to identify because their
Yeah.
mind wasn't rich. They too focused on somebody else's lifestyle, or focused on somebody else's gossip, and not realizing that they given the person they're talking to the ammunition to cut them off literally at the knees. And so
That's crazy. Yeah.
yeah, so, and it happens every
That's,
day.
that's insanity to me, but that's 80% of the population.
Yeah, I mean it's an overwhelming majority of our people, and unfortunately, like you said, they put themselves in these situations due to their unwillingness to learn, due to their unwillingness to seek knowledge, through their unwillingness to surround themselves with winners, or soar with the winners. And they always want to take the victim approach, or try to play the blame game, and oh, it was your fault that like that person, I chose to pay this, and then when I realized that it wasn't what it was, now I feel like I got scammed. But the
Man,
reality was, it's like at the end
this
of the
is a real
day.
game that the people's getting, Dane, man. I'm excited that we in week 3, because as I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm like, man, Dane's dropping some game.
Yeah, man. I've like I said, I've been through my fair share of licks in life, and I'll be the first to tell you. Of course, I've had more quote unquote failures than I've had successes, but it's through those quote unquote failures that allowed me to get the game that I needed to get, so that I can experience those successes. Because I once read, Coach, that a a mind-rich individual, a top performer, a high performer, a millionaires, billionaires, they make more mistakes in a year than the average man will make in their lifetime.
Absolutely.
They
And I,
fail more in a year than the average person will fail in their lifetime.
man, you should get excited about making mistakes, because that
Oh,
means you're working on what? Improving your skills.
exactly,
That's where the
exactly.
experience comes in, the mistakes. Remember, you don't get great skills without knowledge plus practice and or experience. See, people don't look at
Exactly.
the end result of things. They don't understand cause and effect. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But
And
that's why we're here dropping game.
yep, that's exactly why we're here dropping game. And just to kind of touch on that concept of cause and effect, like you said, a lot of times, you know, I've seen the individual, like you said, Coach. They have no understanding of a process, so all they can really see is just the prize at times, or the reward, and think that it should be this overnight process. Like, oh, I should be able to get that reward like that. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But usually, if it comes easy or if it comes quick, it goes even quicker, or goes even easier. So you gotta be willing to put your work in. You gotta be willing to take those lumps. And unfortunately, most of us have been through a traditional educational system, so we've been conditioned to believe that to make a mistake or to fail is this bad thing. But the reality is that's just information that we learned when we were these naked, ignorant, and scared individuals who were birthed into this earth. And when we had the mind of a child, when we didn't have the consciousness or the rationale of adult, we accepted these rules and internalized them as truth. But now that we're adults, we have the permission that we give ourselves to reevaluate, some of those rules that we've been living by. Most importantly, in this case, this idea or this concept of making mistakes and failure, and kind of flip the switch and telling ourselves, well, no, let me go full steam ahead. Let me go for this idea. Let me go for this project. Let me fail, make mistake after mistake, so that I can figure out what not to do the next time I go to put my shot up, as opposed to let me try this one time, and if it don't work out, then I'm never doing it again, which is what most people do, unfortunately. Yeah. And it just kind of sucks because being minders, individuals like yourself and I, we know the true potential, we know the true value that these people have within them, and just to see them so quickly and easily discounted, it really brings a disgusting taste in my mouth at times, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, again, just to recap, we talked about a couple of pillars on MindRich, but it really comes down to that desire, right? That belief, that vision, and you have to understand your worth, because if you don't understand your worth, you'll quit.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to quit. It's so easy to give up. That's why I say look at it like life is like the gridiron, like the NFL. It's hard to get a first down in the NFL. It's not easy. And you got to kick, scratch, bite. You might get injured, ACLs, metaphorically speaking, in life, because it's the ebbs and flows of the ocean. We know that the ocean's going to... So it's just like life is going to hit you with problems, crisis. And your job is to have the mind-rich understanding, mentality, feel good, to be able to help solve and get through problem, crisis, because it all happens. We can get a call that we don't want, that crisis call. How do we manage it? How do we bounce back? And that's how I look at the game.
Coach, to piggyback on what you talked about just now, the ebbs and flows of life, and how, we have problems and we have good times and we have problems and we create solutions, solutions. Can you talk about that within the context of owning a business and or being an entrepreneur as opposed to an employee? Because I've observed that people really have this perception in their mind that it's just this extracurricular activity to be a business owner or an entrepreneur. But from my perspective, the way I see it, it takes a person the same amount of time to be an entrepreneur as it does to take them to be an employee. It takes them the same amount of time to wake up in the morning to go clock in at somebody else's clock as it does for them to wake up that same morning and to clock in at their own clock. But I believe that, for whatever reason, people have this perception that it's just this big magnanimous thing. So can you kind of clear the air? And then also to talk about how being mind-rich factors into that understanding and that belief.
Yeah. So the first question was just around the extra load of being an entrepreneur, those responsibilities.
Yeah. The perception that to be an entrepreneur, to be a business owner, it's this big. It takes all this time. When in reality, it takes the business owner the same amount of time as it does for the employee to wake up in the morning and get to that business.
Oh yeah. But here's the thing that entrepreneurial mind-rich people get. And I was once told by a mentor by the name of Jimmy West Jr. He said, "Young man, risk and reward travel side by side." Risk and reward. When you're an entrepreneur or business owner, you're just taking on more risk. Just like if you're a parent and you have a family, you're taking on more financial risk, more stress, because the kid's going to get sick. It's inevitable. If you've ever raised kids, they get sick, they cry. There's so many things that go on. So it increases the risk, the stress load, and that sort of thing. So it's about, do you have the mental endurance to handle that? And if you do, and you have the skill set, the education, the understanding to profitability, then long term, your plan Your intelligent, strategic plan is going to get you to where you're going because you have goals. And it's not a straight line. Of course, it's ups and downs. We just talked about ebbs and flows. But the risk and reward, they're traveling side by side. Hopefully, that sheds a little bit of light.
I certainly, excuse me, I certainly believe it does, Coach. And like I said, within the context of getting mind rich, it's important that you, like you said, you have that mental endurance. And I believe that one of the best vehicles for a person to develop that mental endurance is through physical fitness,
Yes.
because it forces you to hold yourself and be accountable to yourself, because you're the only one out there running those steps. You're the only one out there, eating that iron for doing that pull-up or running that lap. So you can only be upset at yourself if you're not performing the way you want to perform. But through getting yourself to that state of performance that you want to be at, it takes that mental endurance. It takes you waking up or going out every day to work out that same muscle every day, day in and day out, so that eventually you can get to that day where you can finally run that mile in less than 8 minutes, if you're an adult, for example, or being able to lift that weight, finally be able to bench press 225 or whatever it is, or run that, if you run track, be able to break your previous mile record. It comes through mental endurance. The monotony of doing those redundant tasks over and over and over again. I believe you called it practice, Coach. But being and doing those things over and over and over again to the point where you've reached a certain level of proficiency, to where you are perfectionist in form at the end of the day. Like, you could just do it in a sense without even thinking about it. Like Kobe Bryant. Let's go back to MJ. That's been our model for today. I'm pretty sure Michael Jordan could just shoot jump shots and free throws without even thinking of it now, because he's through the monotonous and a redundant grind of perfecting his form. It's like it's just second nature to him right now.
Right. Absolutely. You're spot on.
So all in all, if you aspire to be that way or if you aspire to be that high performing entrepreneur, business owner, and consultant at the end of the day, then those are some of the things that you're going to have to, when I talk about overcoming challenges, that's probably going to be one of the biggest challenges you're going to have to overcome, is being willing to have that mental endurance. I mean, that mental endurance, or the mind endurance, being willing to tell yourself that you're not going to quit when you're tired. You're going to quit when you're done, period. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. And until you get to that point, then you're going to continue to ultimately endure the monotony and the mediocrity that you're experiencing in your life, because ultimately you're not willing to push yourself to task. You're not willing to go for it. You're not willing to put it all in, and you're not willing to do what it takes. And you're not willing to pay the price. So to kind of bring all it home, as far as what we've been talking about, the science of getting mind rich, it's important, as we've been discussing today, that you have a belief in your ability to learn and figure things out. It's important that you seek knowledge, and it's important that you surround yourself with winners, because if you choose not to, you're only kidding yourself if you're telling yourself you have these big dreams, as Coach was talking about earlier, but you're not willing to pay the price to make them happen for yourself.
Absolutely, man. I subscribe to a mentality of keep going until I'm no longer here. Life is full of energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Moving around, we're talking, we're breathing, our eyes are moving, we're formulating thoughts, we're communicating frequencies, words are traveling and hitting your brain, hitting my brain, transmitting, that sort of thing. And that takes energy. So why not channel the energy strategically to get what you want? As simple as that. One of my mentors, who I haven't met yet, but I've met him through books, Les Brown, said, live full and die empty.
Yep. I also like that quote, Coach, that he talked about. You don't want to die with your music still playing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hello. I love that one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why when I'm getting on these shows, man, I'm excited. People are like, man, Coach, man, I'm excited about the possibilities, man. You know what I mean? Especially coming where I'm coming from. That's why doing a show like Droppin Game, I'm really passionate about this. I'm passionate about, this is targeted for the hood ambitionists, the hip-hop community. I'm sure other people are logging on and getting a lot of value. You could be a dentist, because the principles that I talk about are applicable In personal development, the mind-rich stuff is applicable. It's universal. Like love. Love is universal. You said music playing in you. Music is universal. So as I teach and I absorb knowledge, I'm only searching for truth because truth is universal. No matter what culture you come from, no matter what language, people still search for the truth. They search for love. They search for friendship. They search for integrity. These are the principles, and there's principles to profitability as well, man. And it's all about getting mind rich. It's all about you had shared with me having that wealthy mind.
Yep.
One of the principles that you talk about is having that wealthy mind. Absolutely.
Yeah, man, and I know for me, when I first even got hip to this whole concept of a wealthy mind or mind richness, it was kind of overwhelming at first because here I was, this kid who just graduated from college, underemployed, working non-fulfilling dead-end jobs, drowning in debt, all everything that I didn't even expect that I would be once I graduated from college, and so it was a depressing experience for me. But nevertheless, I never forget. I never forget to this day. I was at whatever job I was working at the time, and I was sitting in front of the computer, and I was on YouTube, and something just hit me. It was just like, I believe it, and I never forget it. I was just like, I just typed into Google, how do millionaires think? For whatever reason, that's just the thought that came in my mind, and I believe that, like, my journey on becoming mind rich and being mind rich, I have to say now, that's where it all began, and ever since then, I remember. A bunch of stuff came up. I went to YouTube and started watching some videos about this whole idea of personal development and whatnot. And I was just like really shocked. I was like, damn, like this is, this stuff has been going on my whole life. Why my mom and my dad didn't like read these books and stuff like that. But all in all, you know what I'm saying, you just realize, through that experience, it gave me an opportunity to realize that, people really be going through their problems. People really be having their issues. Like, when they talk about people be having, things on their mind, like, that is a true statement. Like, that is a very, very true statement, because if you got something on your mind so heavy to the point where you miss a Think and Grow Rich, where you miss a message by a man by the name of Jim Rohn or Les Brown or Tony Robbins, the list goes on and on, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, we can keep going, Simon Sinek. If you got things so heavy on your mind that you miss those messages, then, like I said, as they say, unfortunately, you will be up shit creek without a paddle.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. We're searching for truth, and that is the truth.
That is, like you said, Coach, that is the truth, man. And I just felt relieved and refreshed once I did find the personal development community, because ever since then, my inner world, I've had an opportunity to work on my inner world. Because what happens inside of me is ultimately what I'm gonna create outside of me, and so you're always in a constant state of improvement. I believe the Japanese call it kaizen, but you're always improving. But you gotta really begin within. And for some people, that's too foo-foo, that's too fluffy, that's too spiritual. But the reality is every human being has a spiritual being inside of him, and that spiritual being must be fed. And it must be exercised on a daily basis, no different from your flesh. And if you choose not to train it, then it will ultimately either rust out or it'll lock you in, and you'll be stuck living in its existence. So, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, it's this thing called being wealthy, having a wealthy mind. It's a real thing. It's being mind rich. It's a real thing, and it comes from you exercising, your mental muscles. You doing the inner work, you doing the inner game. And so one of the best things you can do to bench press that mental muscle of yours is reading books. So I know Coach Tony Brace, he has the book for you guys to read. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
My book?
Yes, sir.
My book is titled Is Your Success Own It? It is a personal development book. I cover 16 chapters, which is fundamental principles that I kind of elaborated on. Such as truth, love, community, positive thinking, health and wellness, all of these universal principles, and they're very interactive in the book. It's something that you write with. It's an exercise. I got definitions if you're unfamiliar with some of the terms that I used. And, at the end of the day, when you're done with the book, you will be motivated, you will have defined and be on your way to pursue, again, what I had mentioned earlier, essentially a 10-year plan. And that's what it's about, owning your own life and creating a 10-year plan for yourself. How many of us have resumes? How many of us have cover letters? How many of us have bios that we've written to send to colleges? But how many of us have a 10-year life plan? Not many. So I thought it was important, and that's what my book is about, is creating that baseline for a 10-year life plan. And
There it is.
it's for business owners, it's for husbands, wives, it's for teenagers. It's the best gift to have for a family during Thanksgiving. If everybody in the family had one, oh man, that would just be great, because everybody can then define their own success and share it with the family.
So where can they pick that up, Coach?
They could pick that up directly from our publisher, lulu.com. If you go to lulu.com and type in the title of my book, It's Your Success, Own It, or type in Coach Tony Brace in the search bar, the book will come up. You can go to my website, CoachTonyBrace.com, and order it there. You can call me up, again, toll free, 888-775-9914. And if you call me up and order the book, I'll ship it out to you, and I'll spend 30 minutes over the phone helping you get through some of the things that you may be challenged with. If it's a life plan, the majority of what I do is business coaching, but 20% of what I do is life planning. So I'm very, very familiar with life planning and those sort of things. Contact me, get the book, and change your life for the better.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to say that one more time, though, just so it can sink in. My man, Coach Tony Brace, just gave you, in essence, all access into his mind so that you can accomplish your goals, overcome your challenges, and clarify your vision for your life. And he's willing to help you do that. All you have to do is take action and invest in the book. So go invest in yourself.
It's investing in themselves.
Yeah. Go invest in yourself. And then we will be able to pour more into you, because it's for the type of conversation that you would have with an individual like Coach T and myself. You know what I'm saying? There's a pregame that needs to occur. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some fundamental building blocks that you're going to have in place in order to understand where we're coming from. And the only way you're going to get that is if you are of that consciousness, as I like to say, tuned into our station, on our frequency, on our wavelength. And you can get there by going and investing in that brother's book, reading it up, as well as some other titles. But definitely, I would suggest you go ahead and start there. And from there, you know what I'm saying, your desire should spread like a wildfire, and building your personal library so that you can get this good game and this good knowledge that's going to take you, past any sort of destination that you felt that you can get to in your life. But it all comes from you first and foremost being mind rich, and being mind rich, to cap it off this last time, you know what I'm saying, the first thing you gotta do, you gotta believe in your ability to learn and figure things out. And the second thing you gotta do, you gotta seek knowledge. And the third thing you gotta do, you gotta soar with the winners. You gotta associate with like-minded individuals, and really be about that life, as they would say. So as we kind of head come around third base to bring it on home, I want to let you know that if you are somebody out there and you feel like you're ambitious yet underemployed, working non-fulfilling dead-end jobs, or just somebody who simply, you have a desire to convert your effort and your enterprise into profit on some level, but you feel like you just are clueless and you don't know how to change the situation for the better, you can start off talking to me. Now, I don't mind helping you. Like I said before, I'm going to help you do three things. I'm going to help you clarify your vision. I'm going to help you overcome your challenges. And I'm going to help you accomplish your goals. So you can go over to www.billionairebelief.com/register. I'm in the process of creating a free training session for you that's going to dive into those three things. And so go right now, go get on the list. So like once it does become available, you can be one of the first to be noticed. Now I know Coach has something that he wants to offer you as well. So I'm going to go ahead and spring it over to him.
Yeah, my offer is very specific. There are some criteria around it. You have to be a business owner or entrepreneur that has that has been participating in the game at least 3 years. Okay, and my offer for those that have been in the marketplace, it doesn't matter what industry, except for certain industries that are illegal or in the sex industry. I don't coach those type of clients, and that's just something that it's a personal value that I have. So, nevertheless. What I'll do is I'll sit down with you and I will do what we call a business evaluation, looking at those 5 key pillars of your business that drive profitabilities. That's the 4 areas of the business quadrant plus the margins areas as well. I will look at your business model. Some may be familiar with a SWOT analysis. Look at the strengths, the weaknesses, the areas of opportunities and threats. And you will walk away with a game plan with actionable steps to help increase your business and or your time, because time is money as well. And most business owners or entrepreneurs, they struggle with time management, and I have an awesome time management system, and that's why I love what I do, because I have freedom. I was sharing with somebody today, I've been blessed. I've been around multi millionaires, and not a lot of them, I should say, could say this. I'm a divorced man. I got a 13-year-old daughter. I've never missed a major event in my daughter's life ever since she was born. But that's how I created my lifestyle, to have that time freedom. So time is just as important, entrepreneurs. I know plenty of millionaires that are getting money, but they don't have the ability to create their business model that can work without them. So that's my offer.
Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure once again to have you on Droppin Game. This is Dhane Diesil. We had Coach Tony Brace. We talked to you today about the science of getting mind rich, where it boils down to 3 basic things. You gotta believe in your ability to learn and figure things out. You gotta be willing to seek knowledge, and most important, you gotta surround yourself with winners. So that does it for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, keep it wealthy. Peace.
Good vibes and blessings.